Dear brothers and sisters, I welcome you all to hear and see this video message. Today we are going to pray for merger and reunification of all democratic communist political parties in India. Communist political parties very important for socialistic improvement in India. When they are coalition with Congress government in UPA 1 on 2004, they are bringing 100 days National Rural Employment Guarantee Act and Food Security Act and RTI like this. And there is no much scam in this UPA 1 also. Really, communists are fight for the poor people, downtrodden and the oppressed class in India. But today the pathetic situation is, along with all the communist parties, they have only 5 Loksabha MPs in parliament. That they are reduced from 59 MPs in 2004. That is why the poor people voices is not heard in parliament. So we should pray for communist party's revival and merger of that party. This article I made it and given in description through Google Drive link. You can go through that and you can study that. எனக்கு மிகவும் பிரியமான சகோதரர்களே சகோதரிகளே, இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவின் நாமத்தினாலே இந்த வீடியோவை நீங்கள் பார்ப்பதற்கும் கேட்பதற்கும் உங்களை நான் அழைக்கிறேன். இன்றைக்கு நாம் ஜெபிக்க வேண்டிய ஜெபக்குறிப்பு, இந்தியாவிலே கம்யூனிஸ்ட் பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டி, அதாவது குடியாட்சியை விரும்புகின்ற எல்லா கம்யூனிஸ்ட் பார்ட்டிகளும் ஒன்றாக இணைய வேண்டும். திரும்பவுமாக ஒரு ரீயூனிஃபிகேஷன் நடக்க வேண்டும். உண்மையிலே இந்த கம்யூனிஸ்ட் பார்ட்டிகள் ஏழை மக்களுக்கு, புறந்தள்ளப்பட்ட மக்களுக்கு, அழித்தட்ட மக்களுக்காக திட்டங்களை வகுக்கிறவர்கள். 2004 காங்கிரஸ் கவர்மெண்டோடு இவர்கள் சேர்ந்து ஆட்சி செய்யும் போது மக்களுக்கு தேவையான இன்று நாம் அனுபவிக்கின்ற 100 நாள் வேலைவாய்ப்பு திட்டம், உணவு பாதுகாப்பு திட்டம், RTI ஆக்ட் இவர்கள் மூலமாகவே கொண்டு வரப்பட்டது. இவர்கள் காங்கிரஸ் ஆட்சிக்கு ஒத்துழைப்பு கொடுக்கும்போது அதிகமான கரப்ஷன் இருந்ததில்லை. ஆனால் 2009 2014 வரை நடந்த UPA 2 கம்யூனிஸ்ட் தங்களுடைய ஆதரவை விலக்கி கொண்டார்கள். அப்பொழுது நாம் அறிந்திருக்கிற 2G ஸ்கேம் முதல் அநேகமான ஸ்கேம், கரப்ஷன் நாம் பார்த்திருக்கிறோம். ஆகவே ஒரு சிறந்த கவர்னன்ஸ் நீடிப்பதற்கு, உண்மையாகவே அடித்தட்டு மக்களுக்காக பேசுவதற்கு இந்த கம்யூனிஸ்டுகள் இன்றைக்கு வேண்டியிருக்கிறது. ஆனால் இன்றைக்கு இருக்கிற பரிதாபமான சூழ்நிலை என்னவென்றால், 2004 59 MPகள் லோக்சபாவில் இருந்த நிலைமை மாறி இன்று வெறும் 5 MPகள், CPI 2 MP, CPI Marxist 3 MP ஆகியவற்றில் சுருங்கி இருக்கிறது. ஆகவே இந்தியா ஒரு செக்குலர் கண்ட்ரியாக, ஒரு சோசியலிஸ்டிக் கண்ட்ரியாக தொடர்ந்து நீடிப்பதற்கு, அடித்தட்டு மக்களை பற்றி யோசிப்பதற்கு இந்த கம்யூனிஸ்டுகள் நமக்கு வேண்டியிருக்கிறது. ஆகவே இவர்களுக்காக நான் ஜெபிப்போம். இந்த வீடியோவினுடைய கண்டென்ட்டை நான் டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷனில் கூகுள் டிரைவ் லிங்கில் கொடுத்துருக்கிறேன். வேண்டியவர்கள் நீ அதில் போய் பார்த்து முழுவதுமாக படித்து கொள்ளலாம். இப்பொழுது நான் வாசிக்கிறேன், நீங்கள் அதை கவனியுங்கள். நன்றி. Communist Party of India was established in December 1926. Its activities were limited till India were freed from British rule. It was inspired by the Soviet socialistic revolution led by working class in Russia. It was propelled by the struggles of workers in India. The section which supported Chinese direction got separated from CPI and formed a new party on 1964, which is now called Communist Party of India Marxist. Two communist parties is not ideological. The leaders of two communist parties have not been satisfactory give any explanation for the split in 1964. But what is well known is that the split was a direct result of difference between the Russia and Chinese parties. Those who supported Russia become CPI and those who supported the Chinese become CPI-M, Marxist. Communist movement in India suffered badly due to the split. CPI-M Marxist refused to condemn China for incursions and pushed Nehru to negotiate a new boundary agreement and discard the McMahon line. CPI-M was opposed to the 1975-77 emergency, but CPI supported it and even formed a government in Kerala with Congress support in the 1970s. Since the partition of the parties, CPI Marxist only increased their power while CPI lost its gradually. CPI Marxist enjoy a significant presence in the state of West Bengal, Kerala, Tripura. In West Bengal, it was in power for almost 3 decades. CPI Marxist Leninist was formed in 1969 following the Naxalbari peasant revolt in West Bengal. This movement spread all over India and after severe state repression split into many groups. CPI Marxist Leninist reject the parliament path and follow the path of protected people's war. This line focused on the villagers and farmers. This party banned by Union Home Ministry. The Communist Party of India Maoist was founded on 21st September 2004 through the merger of Communist Party of India Marxist Leninist People's War Group and the Maoist Communist Center of India, which follows the policy of armed struggle against the Indian state. However, mainline left parties distance themselves from this party and its support base has been highly limited. This party also banned by Union Home Ministry. Communists were involved in the Indian independence movement. At the time of independence, Communists were the opposition party. However, their support base eroded with time as their plan was to import Russian, Chinese ideas without Indianizing it. As long as communists are participating in democratic process peacefully and does not use violence to make regime change, there is absolutely no reason to stop them. When Congress was split in 1960s, Indira Gandhi needed the communist and left wing. This is how she was able to survive the Sikhism. As an exchange for the support, she also brought India's biggest socialistic moves. Number one, nationalizing the banks and other big companies. Number two, moving closer to Soviet Union. Number three, inserting socialism into the Indian constitution. Why we need communist parties to be sustained in India? Communists had never been into power in India at central. However, It supported the UPA-1 government led by Congress in center from 2004 to 2008. During that period, the party heavily opposed any anti-people measures. It also helped shape the economic policy of the central government during that time. The UPA-1 government was also not as corrupted as the UPA-2 one. When the CPI-M was no more in coalition with the UPA, they added stability and policy adherence. Because of them, Rural Employment Guarantee Act, Food Security Act came. There are many other social insurance schemes that were introduced during the first UPA regime. Now let's see what UPA-1 achieved between 2004 and 2008. UPA-1. In 2008, the world was facing the global financial crisis. In spite of that crisis, India recorded a GDP growth rate of 8% during the UPA-1 government. Diesel price increased around 20%, rupees 6% per liter. From 2004 to 2008, whereas crude oil price in world market increased around 60% in that same period. Inflation was well in control with 6.1%. There was no major scams in India during UPA-1. Major public projects were undertaken with explicit help of the communist parties. Almost around 140 million people came out of the poverty during the 2004 and 2012, including 3 years of UPA-2. Whenever some anti-people stands like increasing the petrol diesel price without caring the general public, privatizing the pension funds of old people with stock market was tried to be taken, communists were on their toes protecting the interest of the general population. They cared especially for the marginalized section of the society. UPA-2. Compare this to the UPA-2 government when communist parties were not part of the alliance. Although growth rate was almost similar, there were major scams revealed all over India. Although it may be said that these scams transcend also to the UPA-1, but it was nearly impossible to be known by an outsider supporter of the government, such as the CPI Marxist and CPI. They did their best to have a check on the government. Inflation also shot as high as around 10%. Diesel price increased to 75%, that is rupees 27 per liter, whereas crude oil price increased around 40%. To sum it up, communist in power is not only good for India but also beneficial to the larger poor and marginalized section of the society. They appear as the voice of the oppressed most prominently among any other parties in India. The top leadership of the communists were clean in public life, educated, ideologically oriented, civilized and economically sound, honest and consistent and responsible. So they command respect everywhere except for their international viewpoints. Communist MPs have been one of the most active, vocal and regular MPs in Indian Parliament. For example, like Sri Gurudas Dasgupta may not be in power but still can take active part in the debates and questions and help shape policies for the government. As the communists have accepted a democratic functioning in India, there is hope for spreading their ideas to new generations and spreading different ideas for community development. Mainstream communist parties is better for the vast democracy like India, as it tries to work as a check and balance for the right-wing administration. Achievement of communist by land reforms. Agricultural growth as one more point for the achievement of CPI-Marxist by land reforms in West Bengal. Millions of poor farmers in West Bengal became owners of small lands. They were once mere workers in the lands of extremely rich people, that is zamindars. The government put a ceiling on the amount of land people can own. The surplus land was distributed among farmers. The government made state legislation so that the rich people cannot influence the and take back the lands from the hands of poor. Millions of people came out of poverty, improved their standard of living. This reform was also partially carried out in Kerala and Tripura, where CPI-Marxist governed for some years. On the sixth day after coming to power in 1957, the CPI government of Kerala issued an ordinance banning the eviction of tenant farmers by landlords. The ministry introduced land reforms legislation, the Kerala Agrarian Relations Bill. Its aim included providing permanent land rights to cultivating farmers, fixing fair rent, imposing an upper limit or ceiling on the size of land holdings, and giving tenants the right to purchase the land they were cultivating. While the communists mobilized the peasantry on post-independence, the leadership of the Congress was openly aligned with landlords and rulers in most places. The landlord class, along with Indian industrials, were two pillars of support for the Congress. As a result, tension rose between the communist and the right-wing section of the Congress. The provincial government led by the Congress were openly supportive of the landlords and capitalists. They brought sectarian religious strife and caste discrimination, mobilized workers and peasants to fight to advance their rights, and worked to change the consciousness of the people into progressive direction in order to make society more livable for all marginalized, exploited and oppressed section of the people. If the left can no longer represent the mandate of the people, it can still represent the conscience of the people and nation. Left can still represent a unique political narrative independent from the ruling dispensation and major opposition forces. India is slowly moving to capitalism, religious fanatism and single party majoritarianism. Present problem is that society has been hijacked by the capitalists in the name of socialism, while fact is that poor people are being exploited massively by the capitalists in the name of socialism and pseudo-nationalism. CPI and CPI-Marxists are active on every issue. They are struggling for every issue of people, but there is no media coverage for their struggle. At present, media is under the control of big business, which is bad for democracy. Media houses must be freed from clutches of market and political forces to function effectively. Failures and decline of communist in India. Failure of Panchayat Raj. Although green revolution in India happened in the 1960s, the success of it was not reaching to the mass population. The local governance was largely held by the rich and influential persons. Panchayat Raj was adopted all over India during that period and legalized in 1992. However, West Bengal government was ahead of all other states in this matter. The CPI-Marxist government implemented Panchayat Raj so that local people have the power to solve local matters. Locals came to the power of administration. They become the observer on where the government funds should go after they are being dispersed by the central and state government. As time passed by, the decentralization of power was taken by the democratic centralism. Democratic centralism is a nice idea which states that the democratically chosen decision within a party should be carried out by all the party members. But decentralization of power was hurt badly due to this. This is unfortunate event happened because the local party leaders gradually become disconnected from the local people. The decentralization of power failed and gradually the power centered into the hands of few. Democracy was gone and only centralism prevailed. This is a failure of the CPI-Marxist party that they did not listen to some faction of the party which tried conveying the vicious trend. This mistake also caused CPI-Marxist to lose the state election in West Bengal in 2011 after 34 years of continuous and democratic governance. Flops of CPI-Marxist. Communists had ruled West Bengal from 1977 to 2011. Trinamool Congress ended the rule of communists in West Bengal. In 2011, CPI-Marxist decline began. Their vote share was 38%. In 2014 Loksabha election, their vote share was 29.8%. Communists lost again in 2016 State Assembly. Their vote share was 26%. This broke the communist cadre. Communists did not even try to win any seat in West Bengal in 2009 Lok Sabha elections. Their vote share fell from 29.8 to single digits. As a result of the strategic mistake, for the first time after independence, the left failed to win a single seat in 2021 West Bengal Assembly. When it comes to coalition politics, particularly at the national level, the CPI-Marxist always failed to make a pragmatic choice, severely impacting its growth. In 96, CPI-Marxist did not allow Jyoti Basu to become the Prime Minister of India. Basu termed it as a historical blunder. Indian communists refuse to acknowledge the popularity of individual leaders draws the masses to the party. After the 2004 election, when the left parties with a record 61 seats became the anchor of a Congress-led United Progressive Alliance, CPI-Marxist refused to join the government, losing out the opportunity of getting some lucrative ministerial berth that could help the party expand its base. After much persuasion from the Congress, CPI-Marxist agreed to let its senior leader Somnath Chatterjee be elected as the speaker. But even before the UPA government could complete its full 5-year term, the CPI-Marxist led left parties withdraw support in 2008 over the Indo-US nuclear deal. The decision proved a disaster for the left parties in the general election a year later. The fact cannot be denied that Prakash Karat has inflicted serious damage to the party. CPI-Marxist is still nursing the injury caused by Prakash Karat. Indian communist parties failed because they did not change their policies according to the new age. They see capitalists and businessmen as looters, and hence they never allow them to set up industries. They stuck to the old anti-capitalist measures while major reforms took place in India. Examples include the Birla incident in West Bengal, after which Birla pledged to never set foot in communist Bengal. The total lack of industries in Kerala, which forces their people to go to Gulf nations for job. Trade union movement has now become place for slackers rather than helping labor, but acts as a political gang. Free and protests, lockouts are common in communist areas. The biggest blunder was to oppose land acquisition drama in Sinkur. So they lost most of popular support. They simply have lost the touch with reality. CPI-Marxist was not able to deliver development, social equality and better infrastructure in West Bengal, followed by their inability to prepare the next generation of leaders. Biggest issue with CPI-Marxist leadership is that they continued to introspect but did not do much needed course correction. Even after their consistent electoral failures, not a single party leader took responsibility for it. The largest communist party in the country has not made any effort to bridge the gap of leadership and its cadres on ground. CPI-Marxist to date does not have a single Dalit leader in its highest decision-making body. CPI-Marxist has miserably failed to promote equity and mobility of Muslims as well as women within its own party ranks. Communist ideology has been experimented and tried in various parts of India, and the finest example is West Bengal. The West Bengal model actually discouraged many in the country to show trust in communist ideology for growth and development. 3 decades of communist rule in West Bengal did not change much, and Kolkata, which was earlier looked upon as the city of opportunity was replaced by Mumbai. Now people like to go to New Delhi, Chennai, Mumbai, Ahmedabad and Hyderabad for employment, but rarely someone I to go to Calcutta for the opportunity of employment or business. Communists discouraged capitalism model but did not understand that in a growing country with a very few government job opportunity available and very few companies in private sector offering employment, the micro business model works for Indian people, which can grow only on the mixed model of capitalism and communism which India follows. Implication of communist ideology in India. The common man in India, except for the few states of West Bengal, Kerala and Tripura, has not yet developed the desired confidence and faith in the communist parties, and this has been the biggest drawback that has not gone in their favor. Communists are unable to translate the influence and goodwill they have among people into political mass base, except in certain traditionally strong areas like Bengal, Kerala and Tripura. There still remains a chance provided the left parties review and modify their approach, making it wider and refraining from adhering from the laid down norms of Marxism that will need to be set aside in order to win the confidence of the Indian masses. They were not able to reinvent their ideologies in light of Indian masses. They were not able to reinvent their ideologies in light of current realities. The younger generation of India, those who are under 30, no longer are attracted to communism. There is needed to induce more people with socialistic ideas. Left suffered from its inability to understand the social milieu of the country. Indian communists failed to address the casteism in India. They should have realized that in Indian context, class and caste are synonyms. Indian left does not address the issues of downtrodden masses and the oppressed class. They only cater to the needs of the organized working class and the middle class. The left needs to rethink its political agenda if it wishes to remain relevant. Party without pragmatic ideology is a tree without roots, and a party without organization is a tree without fruits. Communist parties are in ICU right now. They are suffering with cancer called BJP. But they are not believing they have cancer and feel they are healthy. Unless they are operated upon, the survival is not guaranteed. But if they continue to believe that they are healthy, very soon they will go into coma and thereby brain death, and after long stretch of brain death, they will eventually die a natural death. While most political parties around the world, including communist parties, reinvent themselves to stay afloat and win popular support, the CPI and CPI-Marxist have stubbornly stuck to the theories and slogans that defined them decades ago. Their ideas about the working class, organized labor and the capitalized proletariat binary remains unchanged even though the world has moved on. The Indian electorate was never an attractive playing field for the communist politician. One thing is certain, there is no future as communist in India unless they change. Communists fight against Hindutva. The BJP government, which took power in 2014, operate as the government of the corporate sector, by the corporate sector and for the corporate sector. The rise of the rapid right-wing political forces that seeks to turn India into a Hindu state came hand in hand with neoliberalism. These forces are led by the fascist Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS with numerous affiliate organizations, including its main political electoral arm, the BJP. BJP is no ordinary political party. It is backed by the fascist RSS. The rise of the BJP as the predominant ruling party of India at both the central and provincial levels has enabled the entire Sangh Parivar to unleash its fascist agenda with unprecedented speed and aggression. After the second coming of the Modi government, the RSS game plan of having a Hindutva republic is unfolding. All dissent and resistance to this authoritarian drive are dealt with a fascistic manner. The situation is far graver than the emergency of 1975. The rise of Hindutva forces. Hindutva is right-wing political Hinduism, and the communal mobilization that they lead have posed a serious challenges to the emancipatory struggles led by the communists and have created schisms in the working class movement as the RSS, BJP and other fascist formations channeled to the Hindu working class, increasing disenchantment with neoliberal policies towards violent communal conflagrations. At times, the communists have stood alone in their fight, while many political parties have covered instead of confronting the frequently violent Hindutva fascists. The communists, in a broad coalition with other secular and progressive forces, have remained in the forefront defending the lives and rights of minorities in India. To the divisive politics anchored on a communal hatred is the BJP's prime election strategy, one that seems to be the core of its 2024 election strategy. Combating the BJP's game plan in the major responsibility of secular and democratic forces. For that purpose, a broad-based coalition of secular, democratic and left parties should emerge. Communists should need to defend the constitution from attacks by the right-wing forces. We have to defend the core of the constitution from being modified to suit the communal ideology of the BJP and the Sangh Parivar. Communist, the defender of secularism. BJP, Hindutva authoritarian government which enforces neoliberal regime. This regime seeks to undo the existing constitutional framework from within, and majoritarian rule threatens the very basis of democracy and secularism in the country. We need the secular credential of India can be defended and promoted in India. Secularism, which is one of the founding principles of India, can mean two things: hostility by the government towards religion and neutrality on the part of the government towards all religions. The people of the country definitely will want the communist parties forces to promote the latter and take the lead in defending the right of all the citizens of the country to practice a religion of their choice without fear and coercion. Communists always defended the secular principles of separation of religion. When India's two principal nations political parties, BJP and Indian National Congress, never look at politics beyond winning an election, Communists can provide a platform for its citizens to debate and discuss secularism, pluralism and diversity towards securing India and the need for giving good governance to the people of the country, which is the real meaning of politics in a democracy. Communists should make an end to caste-based political parties and eradicating communalism and working towards making India a pure secular nation state, putting a check on unscrupulous capitalists and industrialists and religious fundamentalists. Why merging of communist parties is need of, however. The communist parties started working together under the banner of Left Front and had their best result in the 2004 general election, winning 59 seats in the parliament. They also had a third front comprising of many non-Congress and non-BJP regional parties in 2009 and won 79 seats, though as the communist seats reduced to just 24 seats. And in the general election of 2014, an isolated and marginalized left has ended up with their lowest ever tally of just 10 seats. In 2019, general election seats reduced to 2 MP for CPI and 3 MP for CPI Marxist in Loksabha. So for reviving the communist movement in India, there should be a merger. The communist representation in parliament has declined to its lowest level in the last two general elections. The rightward shift in Indian politics, the neoliberalism market policies, the huge amount of money spent in elections and the nexus between the businesses and politics have all had a deleterious effect on the electoral prospect of the communist and the left. See, the CPI voting percentage declined from 1957 to 2014 election. 1957 CPI had 8.92 percentage of voting percentage. In 1962 they had 9.94 voting percentage, that is reduced to on 2014 to 0.71 percentage. Again CPI vote share in the 2019 Loksabha election fell to 0.58 percentage. The Election Commission of India is about to decertify it as a national political party due to its consistently dismal performance in subsequent state and federal elections. In country's first general elections, wherein the undivided Communist Party of India emerged as the main opposition party to the Congress, winning 16 seats, contesting 49 percentage. The CPI performance was remarkable because a ban on it was lifted just before the election and many of its functionaries were languishing in jails during the polling, affecting its campaign. Yet the party would make its electoral presence felt almost across India. As the Communist Party of India CPI is in danger of losing its national party status after winning just one seat in the Loksabha poll, it has appealed to the CPI Marxist and other left parties to merge as one entity. But CPI Marxist has resisted. Today, while the CPI and CPI Marxist are in alliance in Kerala, the left democratic front difference still persists. The marginalization of the left will have a very serious implication on the future of the country. The situation demands the reunification of the communist parties and reworking of the strategies. Reunification would strengthen the left parties. Being human, prone to mistakes, but acknowledging the mistakes and corrective action is what makes communist parties stand tall in the era of social network jingoism. Fear of loss of personal position in the party that prevents the merger. The Congress is drained of all its glory and hardly has the capability to lead an alternative front. Today, Congress is one among the many parties in the anti-BJP front. Communists who would not want to see the decimation of the Congress, they would have been in a place to fill any void created by the Congress. However, the left is no such position right now. In the current scenario, any weakening of the Congress would work to advantage of the BJP, so required was strengthening the unity among the left parties. Indian communism, 100 years old. It has been weakened by the rise of neoliberalism, but it recognizes both its limitation and its opportunities. Indian communists have a long experience of working in a parliamentary democracy. They have also formed and run state governments in West Bengal, Kerala and Tripura. The communists have had a correct understanding on how to utilize parliamentary forums to strengthen extra parliamentary movements. There is relentless onslaught on the rights of the workers and peasants which emanates from the predatory capitalism. At present, the most urgent and important task for the communist and the left is to build a powerful movement against neoliberal policies, which explicits the working people of the country. Communists should mobilize all types of exploited and oppressed classes, social sections as a country-wide people movement for the building up a new India, as a continuation of past movement for freedom, democracy and socialism. They should unite all left parties into a struggle platform and should form united front with all organizations against neoliberal globalization cum fascism program, which is led by corporate scam. By organizing a country-wide people's movement against neoliberalism and fascism, communists will unite into single party for citizens' cause. Bible talks about Communist parties of India. Refer from Proverbs chapter 24 chapter verse 16, Judges chapter 5 verse 23, Proverbs chapter 31 verse 8 and 9. No matter how often honest people, that is communist, fall, they always get up again. They, that is so-called secular parties, did not come to help of the Lord, to the help of the Lord against the mighty, that is BJP, RSS. Speak up for people who cannot speak for themselves. Help people who are in trouble. Stand up for what you know is right and judge all people fairly. Protect the rights of the poor and those who need help. So, kindly pray and prophesy in the name of Lord Jesus Christ that merger and reunification of all communist parties should happen in India, those on democratic parliamentary path like Communist Party of India, CPI, Communist Party Marxist, CPI-M, both have presence across India, and Revolutionary Social Party India have presence in Kerala, and Communist Party of India, Marxist Leninist Liberation have presence in Bihar and Jharkhand to make our country as a strong socialistic secular nation by elect at least 40 MPs in 18th Loksabha for citizens' welfare. Amen. Jai Hind.